side of the road, get out, and then you step on a snake.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think I was like looking around my car because I wasn't sure he crawled
If he
out.
crawled out.
How did he get inside your
I
car?
don't know.
Well, he must have a key.
Are you and your husband getting
He
along?
knew the code. Yeah, he knew the code. He punched it.
Yeah.
I sure her and her husband were getting along.
I called him up and it's like, there's a stone in my car. And he's going, honey, I'm in a meeting right now. Is this
He'll call you back.
There's a snake in my car.
Mm.
He goes, I'll be right there.
What does he do?
He's a teacher.
Well, at least he didn't shoot it.
Somebody goes, why didn't you shoot it? Because my gun was in my car with the snake.
I can see bullet holes all in that dash.
Oh, no.
You know, car totaled by bullets.
Uh-huh.
Would that make, what is it, who is it has that museum of all those kind of things? That way?
We know a thing or two because
Farmers,
we've seen it.
farmers
Yeah.
like a guy.
Farmers insurance.
Yeah, Florence, yeah. We ready? All right. It's 10:04, we call this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court of Order. Everyone please rise. Y'all will join me in prayer, please. Father God, we come together today, and we have to thank, Lord, that we feel burdened by the things that are going on, the COVID, the social unrest, the misunderstanding, the prejudice, the things that burden our hearts of those that are care, and we have to wonder about those hearts who are hardened so against their brothers and sisters. We ask that you bring sweetness and mellowness and understanding. And Father, we ask that you remove this pandemic that has brought such pain and suffering to our society. And Father, yet we stop in this in our concerns, and we have to think about those that are on the first line, that are serving others, that are risking their own lives. And Father, we ask you to watch after our men and women that serve us so bravely in all kinds of uniforms and situations. Guide this court today as it deliberates for the citizens of this county. Forgive us of our sins, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join in pledging allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas pledge, please.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you. Take a seat. I do have the pleasure this morning of making a presentation. And I'll just come your all the way and do that. Thank you, I'll give you all here. It's always good to see you. And I just, I was over the other day driving down Martin Luther King Boulevard, and I thought it more about when we started that with 3 trailer houses that we kind of tied together with baling wire and a few bolts. And what is over there now, Alan and David, that has grown. From Phyllis's leadership at the beginning, you picking up, it has just gone over the castle. And I'd like to share a proclamation for National Health Center Week 2020. Whereas for over 20 years, community health centers have provided high-quality, affordable, comprehensive primary and preventative health care in our nation's underserved communities, delivering value to and having a significant impact on America's healthcare system. Whereas the country's largest primary care network, community healthcare centers, are the healthcare home for 30 million people in over 14,000 communities across the nation. 1 in every 12 people in the United States gets care in community healthcare centers. In our community, community healthcare center serves over 31,000 people with over 108,000 visits annually. And whereas community healthcare centers serve as beacons of essential resources and support in testing and treatment in the face of the global coronavirus pandemic, and will continue to offer reliable, affordable, high-quality care against COVID-19 for America's most vulnerable and underserved certified nurse midwives who work as part of the multidisciplinary clinical teams designed to treat the whole patient. Locally, community healthcare employs more than 250 people. Whereas community healthcare centers are on the front lines of emerging healthcare crisis, providing access to care of the nation's veterans, addressing the opioid epidemic, and responding to public health threats in the wake of natural disasters. Whereas during National Health Center Week, we celebrate the legacy of America's community health centers and their vital role in shaping the past, present, and future of America's healthcare system. Now, therefore, the Wichita County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim August 9th through 15th as National Health Center Week. We encourage all Americans to take part in this week by visiting their local health center and celebrating the important partnership between America's community health centers and the communities they serve. Signed this 10th day of August in the Wichita County Commissioners Court. Alan Patterson, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coleman. Take a moment to share some of the many different things that you all have got that are happening in the community.
Thank you for this opportunity. I didn't know for sure I was going to be able to. I only have 20 pages of notes, so.
I want to say this, though, if you talk as long as your emails, we're going to have to go get lunch and come back.
You know, I get a lot of blame for that. Blame it on people that started the strings. I am Alan Patterson, and I'm probably the luckiest accountant on the whole planet of this great earth by virtue of being intimately involved with community health centers, and specifically here at the Community Health Center in Wichita Falls. I'm here to say a sincere thank you for this proclamation and really for all of the support this great community, this great county, this city give to us in our noble mission of serving the underserved. 55 years ago, the Health Center program, formerly known as the Federally Qualified Health Center, FQHC, also known as Community Health Centers, was signed into law by then President Lyndon Baines Johnson as part of a legislative initiative, an entire package that created three things: Medicare, Medicaid, and the Community Health Center program. Now, the program has since grown in those 55 years to almost 1,500 federally qualified health centers, having about 11,400 clinic sites. Texas has 75 of those 1,500 health centers. We here in Wichita Falls are one of those 1,500, and obviously we'd be one of those 75. Right now we have a total of 9, but 7 officially approved clinic sites in Wichita Falls, Texas. Here in Wichita Falls, we opened in 1994. It was a community grassroots effort led by some amazing people, frankly, in part including Judge Gossen. We are now slightly over 26 years old. We are about one of those 1,500, and again, we have 7 sites doing family medicine, pediatrics, obstetrics, gynecology, dental, and behavioral health services, all primary care. Last year, we did serve over 31,000, and unduplicated is the term we use, individual patients with over 108,000 visits. We've averaged over 20% growth each of the last 3 years. So as I stand with you today, we are twice as large as we were 3 years ago.
Oh, my word.
Amazing success in the last 3 years, especially considering the dynamics of the last 3 years. 2019, though, frankly, was more of a building year for us. It was the least of our growth years, in part because we'd already grown so much, but percentage-wise, it was one of the least of our growth years. But we did remodel our main site on MLK, and we did 2 other things that were going to make a difference in this community for generations to come. We built a clinic on the Zundy Elementary campus, and we have built a clinic inside Vernon College here in Wichita Falls in their Vernon College Maplewood campus there. This week, in partnership with Superintendent Mike Kurt and Wichita Falls ISD, literally this week, we will officially open the Zundy Elementary Clinic over on the Zundy campus. That'll be Thursday of this week. We're so proud. We hope you come by and see it. It's going to be a soft opening. It's not like you're going to see bells and whistles. We want to get in there and open it up and make sure all the little quirks are worked out before we start screaming from the highest mountain. But at the same time, that's going to happen. In roughly 2 months, in partnership with Dr. Dusty Johnson and the Vernon College Board. We are opening that clinic. It'll be about 2 months. The building's done, the work's done. We have to get various approvals, so about 2 more months we'll be opening that clinic. Both of them are extraordinarily nice clinics. You're going to be proud of those clinics in your community. In other matters, in partnership with A.T. Still University and the National Association of Community Health Centers, today, literally when I leave here, I'll be going over to our 3rd Street campus, which used to be the site of the residency program. We operate that clinic now. We're starting a new industry in Wichita Falls, Texas, today. That is a medical student program. We literally are becoming a campus for a highly acclaimed medical school in the East Great United States. We have our first 9 students starting their orientation today. We'll get 9 more a year from today. We'll get 10 more a year from today, 10 more a year after that. So we'll have, at that point, we'll graduate 10 and we'll get 10 every year. So we'll have 30 students, medical students doing their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year of medical school right here in Wichita Falls, Texas. That is a game changer. And it's only possible by virtue of the community support that we get and the fact that we're a federally qualified health center. It's just taking the resources of both of those and putting them together. So let's see, coronavirus. Judge already said it. Community Health Care Center is on the front line of the fight against the coronavirus. We just are. In fact, for most of the patients that we take care of, we are the front line. We're it. We are the major defense for coronavirus in this community from a primary care basis. We treat roughly every day about 400 patients a day nowadays. Again, that's twice what we did 3 years ago.
Alan,
Yes, sir.
what do you treat them with?
Let me get to that because I think I'm going to get there.
Curious.
In the last 6 months, I would say the last 21 weeks, so officially we count last Friday as the 21st week of the COVID-19 crisis in our community and for the most part in the country. So we've done about 38,000 patient visits during that period of time. And what you treat them with, not being a clinician, so I don't want to say, I don't want to say which drug we're using or anything like that, because there's all that hype about that. But basically, you're having people come in with most are symptomatic, some don't have symptoms, but you still have to be able to have that clinician make the decision. So our clinicians have been trained, and I'll give a shout out right now, I will do it later, to Dr. Ibrahim, our chief medical officer. She is stunningly amazing and obsessive of making sure that she is rigidly following the guidelines of the CDC, which means that we are following those guidelines, and any of the other valid scientific authorities that are out there on the process. So they're using the latest and greatest, but that latest and greatest, I'm going to tell you, it changes every darn day. I mean, there is not a day that goes by that something doesn't change in the way that we're supposed to process a particular patient. So I can't really answer your question like what are we treating them with.
Well, I was just curious if we were using the medicine that's so controversial.
No, that's not recommended by the CDC, so we're not hydrochloroquine, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
No, that was not recommended, and we would not be using that. So,
We were hoping for about this much Maker's Mark. It's only half dose.
I mean, it's stunning to me. I get to see the data on a daily basis, and then they accumulate it for me on a weekly and an inception to date basis. And those 38,000 visits that we have provided over the last 21 weeks, we have tested a little over 1,400 of those patients for literally done the test for coronavirus. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's about 38,000, 1,400, that's only what, 5% or something like that. Yeah. We only test it if it's appropriate to test. We're not out there doing willy-nilly testing for people that don't need it, wasting resources. We are literally doing the ones that have the indications, be they clinical or be they social. Any of those indications will trigger us doing the test. But I think what's beautiful about this, by the way, 15% of our tests so far have turned out to be positive, 85%. there's no detection of the virus. There's 3 ways to do the testing. There's what's called PCR testing, which it's long story short, the one we're using is advanced PCR. It's called nucleic acid amplification testing. Now, I mean, it's just getting down into the DNA of a particular cell and seeing is that virus there. And then there's antibody testing, which is usually kind of a quick test, and then there's antigen testing. It can be either quick or elongated. The one that flat gets the best results, has the least false positives, the false negatives, is the PCR, in particular the NAT portion of the PCR testing. And that is what we have been doing from day one. We have 2 great organizations in this community, Dr. David Flack and Pathology Associates, and we give a shout out to them. Angela Staller and Clinical Path Lab, CPL, shout out to them. They have been our incredible partners all through this 21 weeks, to the extent that, for the most part, with few exceptions, the patients that we have deemed need the testing have got the testing using the best gold standard, the PCR NAT testing, and the results have been delivered in less than 2 days, in most cases in 1 day. Now that's for the most part. There's been exceptions when there was reagent problems and supply problems and whatnot, but right now I'm going to tell you, you get your test done. If you get your test done, that means you have a reason to be tested. And if you get it done, you're going to have those results back most likely within a day, 2 days at the longest at this juncture. And that is not the norm across the country, and that, my friends, is because of the incredible community that we have here in Wichita Falls, Texas. Plus, again, the resources of being at QHC are rather phenomenal. So, other people I want to give a shout out to, Lee Prider, Amy Fagan, and our local public health district. I know sometimes that they take a beating for not necessarily knowing what the treatment ought to be, what the process ought to be today. None of us do. I mean, it literally changes that much, and not maliciously. I mean, the people there at the CDC are trying to do the right thing all the time. And for the most part, you know, what they say now, it may change by, within 2 hours, but it's going to be close enough to where we won't really screw around as long as we did what they said all the way. Most importantly, and I'm proud to see you all masked up. This is good. This is what we need to be doing. Masking is the vaccine that we have right now. I think that's probably it. And mostly I just want to tell you how incredibly proud, how honored we are to be a part of this community. The privilege you have given us for serving everyone, especially including the vulnerable. It is our ministry. It's what we do. And you all have honored us even further by recognizing us with this proclamation. So thank you so much. Be glad to answer any questions that you have. I might not be able to get the technical names of drugs, but
Well, I was just wondering if we were doing what we were doing, we're not using that drug.
no. I don't want to go political.
No.
But that drug should not be used. My history is that 37 years I've worked with some of the most working for and with the most incredible human beings and physicians on this planet, both here and in my former home of Waco. And there's not a one of them that isn't saying stay away from hydrochloroquine. So, okay, all right. Thank you all
Thank you
so very, very much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
I feel bad. I can't shake your hand.
Thank
Give
you
him a
all.
elbow bump.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks. I'd ask if there's any public comment from anyone. Hearing none, we'll move on. Take action on the consent agenda.
So moved.
To be discussed with Alabama.
It all looked good to me, and I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented. Could we get Lori to tell us something she learned while she was at our conference? She doesn't want to.
Okay, we have anyone in the audience that can comment on consent agenda items? Okay, motion by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Muller. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. First item on general business is review of the payroll bills for payment.
After review on Friday, Judge, I'd make a motion to pay our bills.
Thanks, sir.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the bills. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I'm going to skip down and take item number 3 and ask Ms. Polly to make her report, and whatever discussion we need, we're going to take action on that.
So I reviewed over both of the RFP proposals for the telephone system. It's my recommendation that we go with Webfire's proposal. Covers the total complete system, including installation, SIP trunks, unified messaging, licensing,
Configuring.
yeah,
Programming, yeah.
complete system that wouldn't require any additional programming.
Will our Cody be able, once fully integrated, I guess, he'll see the whole system as a group?
Yes.
We won't have to run or work two different,
No.
okay. He can see into it from here the same as,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I wondered about that.
So there's a considerable difference in price. A lot of that is in the phone equipment itself and in installation. Can you go over the differences
Yes, so
in the two?
the bid from the company out of Richardson, theirs is basically just the equipment. They're going to provide the actual NEC phone system and the phones, and then their installation is basically to just come and plug in the system and they're done. We would be required to furnish all of the SIP trunks, all of the actual connections to the building. We have to prep everything just for them to plug in. Facilitating the connection back to our system here. They're providing the license, but none of the actual programming for that. And then no programming in regards to extensions or routing, using the call auto attendant, any of those things. None of that's factored into the actual cost. There also is a unified messaging license. Our current system allows us to get voicemails that have been sent via email, and they were not aware that we had that. They did not include that, which is something that we would like to make sure. The other difference I did notice is they specify only allowing 32 concurrent calls. I would assume that's how they're anticipating on connecting back. The Webfire plan does not consist of that. There will be no limit on the number of concurrent calls. And that just has to do with how it's configured as far as SIP trunks and things like that. So,
Well, the other thing, we're not sure if there would be as many phones as Webfire had in their bid.
correct. I don't feel we're going to need the full 140 phones, so that should alleviate our costs as well.
Plus, there was a little bit of an upgrade on that
I
phone.
believe so. I believe the phones that Webfire priced out are the newer version, and the other bid was for a year-old version.
So the phones aren't apples to apples. So.
No, it's really not. It's just because we did an RFQ, so
Right.
we didn't
Yeah,
really
sure.
have specifications, so they just took the to the best of their knowledge, and
But-
not knowing our current configuration or
So-
stuff like that.
But that a lot of, like on the Richardson deal, when you get the email, multiple different companies, they do the same thing. I know that I wished I'd have known because we had to configure all of ours and they didn't do that. And I needed the help to do that. And so had to get the outside help to fix ours to plug into. I just didn't realize that.
And you wouldn't really figure, you wouldn't think there's a whole lot of programming to it, you know, you think you just plug it in, but there's a lot of programming that goes into those systems
Right.
themselves, and then being able to talk back, and then adding, you know, the additional voicemail license, and then, you know, we have 2 voicemail servers here, and we're gonna take one and move it out there. So there's just a lot of bits and pieces that the Richardson company just didn't really.
Well, so Ash, the thought going forward, once that's fully engaged, will all of those functions happen if you select 4 on the menu? You still go into
Yes.
all of that, because it's gonna be a lot more in-depth, but you can go through all of your choices by choosing the sheriff's department and go into that system that way.
Yes, we're gonna have to do some reprogramming on the actual auto attendant to route to the different areas. But that's all, we've factored that in with Webfire, and then we'll just have to re-record our auto attendant.
The other thing I liked in the Webfire proposal is delivery time. They were gonna meet the time frame we had, I'm
Yes.
not sure.
Right.
The other thing is, the other company wanted one part of their proposal, they wanted 100% of their cost up front, and at the back, they went to 50, so.
Well, it was 100% for the actual hardware,
Yeah.
and then 50% for the installation.
Okay.
So, yeah, and the other thing is too, I noticed Webfire has a 5-year warranty on everything. And even with some of the phones that we've had, we haven't really had very many, but the couple that we've had that needed to be replaced with warranty, you know, Webfire just brings us a new phone, and then they send the other one back, so.
With Webfire being local, they're already on site, they're familiar with the project, they're installing a lot of our components out there anyway,
Yes,
so.
they was actually one of the, for all of the wiring, so
Sure.
they pretty much have a basic understanding of that already, so.
So even though it's considerably more, but there's explanations as to why.
But it was far less than your
Yeah, it
actual
is
proposal.
under budget.
Yeah.
It's definitely under budget.
Considerably.
Considerably under budget. I would like to visit with Webfire on the actual phone selection. If there is a cheaper version that would function as well, don't see the reason to go with the latest, greatest, just add cost.
I guess you can mix and match, like some just phones that don't really serve a person, they could be scaled to whatever, and then.
Yeah, you have a lot more play when you go with a digital phone instead of an IP phone. IP phones are, you know, naturally gonna be more expensive just because there's more to it.
Okay.
But yes, we can sure,
We can ask, it's worth the ask.
oh, absolutely.
Well, it's like we had talked about some phones being in that public area, given our sales and service. And Linda, I didn't see, Sarah said they had it all done, but I didn't see a proposal. And
No,
all
I did
that.
not either.
Okay, so, but we were talking about maybe a couple of public phones, which would not need to have any features in like.
Yeah, we can sure talk about, you know, the option to,
Yeah.
if there is an option for IP phone that's not as,
I got some rotary phones in the garage up on the shelf. I can donate those to you.
2 crank phones.
There you go.
Well, now, Ash, there's, in none of this proposal, or is there a need to, do we need to adjust this conference line or fix or upgrade or blend in while we're doing
So
it?
we did include 8 conference phones. They are included in the bid.
Oh, okay.
They are the newer model of these that are IP.
We'll trade hours.
And the good thing about the IP is they, you know, we did the number to allow for that number of conference rooms that we have built in, but they can also be moved around. That's the great thing about IP, is you just pick it up and you can take it and plug it into any network jack. So they don't require, like this one, you have to have this analog line here. That's the good thing about this.
But none of the inmate, attorney lines, they're separate and
They're
apart from
separate
this
deal.
system.
Correct, they're not even on.
Because we spoke, being in Fort Worth recently, they walked us through how that works, and it, you know, he couldn't envision it not being that way any longer, because what a burden it was compared to what they do today. And I just wondered if we're all fully geared that direction,
Yeah,
correct?
they have some features, I think a lot of theirs are gonna be IP2, but they're two separate networks.
Well, I appreciate the effort you put in reviewing this over the weekend. It was
Yes,
a
sir.
quick turnaround time to get this prepared. With that, I think the WebFire brings us the best value to Wichita County, even though it appears to be more expensive. There's fewer hidden costs
Correct.
associated with it. They are familiar with our project. They can meet our deadline, and it is within budget. So I would make the motion to approve WebFire at $139,400.
Second.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beecham, a second by Commissioner Watts to accept the proposal from WebFire at $139,400 and to notify the other company that we selected, WebFire. And that will be paid out of the LEC construction account. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Ms. Cullen.
Thank you.
Let's go back to item number 2, which is discuss, consider, take action to award a contract for damage recommendations, remediation, at county facilities to Parsons Roofing, Marseille, or 4T Partnership LLC, and authorize company to act on Wichita County's behalf as mediator with the Texas Association of Counties on the insurance claim. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, Judge, I have quite a dilemma here, and it's a good dilemma to have. We've had 3 companies that are all outstanding, present to Commissioner's Court. Each one of them brings value to the project and to the process.
Mark, let me tell you that Tyler is on the conference call.
Tyler is on the conference call? Okay, good. Each one is uniquely qualified in their own abilities to handle our work. Each one has a different approach. I've asked Glenda to be here to give us an opinion as our architect. We always trust what her advice is to steer us in the right direction with our buildings. So, Glenda, you want to give us your assessment?
The synopsis that I see is all 3 are reputable companies and everything, but you're getting 3 complete different products and 3 complete different approaches to it. And it comes down to me, not that I have any allegiance to any one of the companies one way or another at all, because they're all 3,
Good.
not local or anything else like that. Parsons only does the roofing. So and Parsons does a very good job at roofing, but you've got a lot of things that will not be taken care of at that point, because there's walls, windows, a variety of things that Parsons does not do. Marseille is a one-stop shop. You've got, they'll take care of your walls, your windows, the roofing, everything. I am familiar with some of the work that they've done in other places, and everything that I've been able to discern and learn is that they've done a very good job with everything that they've done. And then the last was basically he's not a roofer, he's a consultant, and he only will be watching over anything else that is done. And so he will be writing specifications and watching the roofers, but then you still will have to come back as a court and there'll be a lot more work on your part from here on out if you choose him, because he will have to approve every individual
Each,
that does each piece. If you get somebody to do the walls, you have to approve whatever he's doing with that, the windows, the roofs, every piece and every different type of roof that there'll be, you will have to come back and re-approve and rework with. So it's not that one-stop shop. So if these were the only three that were laid before me, I would go with the Marseille, because you're getting, not that y'all's job needs to be made easier, but it certainly doesn't need to be made harder. And with the other direction with the roofing consultant,
Busy.
was asking me earlier, who's watching over him, type of thing, and there is not that. He is the third party-ish, you're hiring a third party, but you're not hiring all of this underneath, and so you've got to do all of that, whereas, with Marseille, they're watching out everything, and then I could, or, somebody would have to be watching out for them too, but you're getting it all at once, and that's the attractiveness that I see in that particular. And I think that while they're very aggressive with your insurance company had pulled back and it said they only have half of about, not even half, I don't think it's a full price that Marseille had originally, that they thought all the damage was done, but the insurance company is not looking at the total picture either. I think they missed quite a bit. So that, to me, said that Marseille's come and really looked very thoroughly at everything. So that's, if I had to make a recommendation on those three, I would recommend Marseille.
Thank you.
It's really what type of approach do you want to take to the job?
And they're all three valid. This is a dilemma. It's a tough
huge
dilemma
because you're not doing apples to apples. You're doing an apple, an orange, and a banana.
Yeah.
So which piece of fruit do you choose? It's
Peach.
Or the peach, yeah. So you're not choosing equal to equal. You're really having to holistically look at it and say, which approach do we want to try to go forward with? Very different approaches. Three very different approaches.
References were all good on everybody.
Have we ever had a partnership, like the Marseille people doing the walls and the windows and the mechanical stuff and Parsons doing the roof? We ever done anything like that to where we let them partner and work together?
As I understand from visiting with one of Marcel's clients, is they hire subcontractors just like any GC, and they usually hire local subs to do the work, and they oversee.
Doesn't mean
That doesn't mean that they couldn't hire Parsons, for instance. Or, I mean, that could be the same way if we went with 4T, that 4T could actually hire Marcel as a GC to oversee the job, or hire Parsons to do the roofing aspect of the job. So, let's say this is a mixed up dilemma. It's all good, because I don't think we can go wrong in either approach. I think, again, all three bring unique value. Parsons is the tried and true in the area, the whole region for that matter. Very good reputation across the industry. Marcel's up and coming and hungry. And
Well, how much window work and wall work do we have? I mean, is it a bunch?
I've got 70 odd panels at my building. We've got 2 panels that are already being taken care of at Juvenile.
When you say panels, is that windows?
Window panes is already, and then we've got sheet metal damage to several buildings that need to be looked at, plus the insulation and all that comes with that. on the metal roofs.
Mr. Parsons, if you had a metal roof and you took it off, would you hire a different company to do insulation, or would you do insulation, or?
We did Parker County Courthouse, we did the windows, we did the paint, we did the metal, we did everything, one turnkey.
Okay.
You did the windows?
Yes, sir, we did one for, Oxley County as well. What we did,
We thought you only did roofs.
we can do it all.
That's made a statement like that the last time was you all were roofing company.
Well, windows, you don't have that many windows to do here. How many windows do you have?
So I have 70 odd panes at my precinct barn, so.
Well, we did all the windows, we did all the woodworking, we placed all the historical wood at Parker County and Washington County. With an architect that approved everything that we did, and also the historical commission as well, because it all had to be approved by the historical. So we did everything. Now, what we did do, we brought in subcontractors, what these guys would do.
Yeah,
Now, when you come to the roofing, no, we're bringing in our people. So that's where your dollars are sitting. Your dollars are sitting on the metal roofs. You've got to make sure you're getting all of your money that's your reserve on these roofs. Because they mess some, cat mess some. And it's common for them to do that. So that's where we're going to be. The expertise is bringing you more money off these roofs. But they did mess a lot. You know, I do know the courthouse is going to be re-inspected, I believe, am I right?
yeah, courthouse, juvenile detention, both will be re-inspected, so.
And, you know, Marcel would do the same thing too. They're going to look for it on the space for the courthouse. Look at what you look for there. You're looking for indentions in the insulation, because now you got an order value factor that you got to play into.
Right.
That's what's being paid, is the insulation. Well, you got to take the roof off to get to the insulation. So, you know, that's a big part. We just won all that from United Grocery. 5 major deals. They didn't pay for the roof, they paid for the insulation damage because of the order value.
Okay.
Just gotta know what to look for.
And that's a similar thing that I was told from Marcel as well, so.
I was not aware we did legal windows and walls. I will track that, there's not state much with that.
It's not that big. It's not like a Parker County.
We didn't.
Thank you.
Dang it.
It was a year.
Would it be okay for Marcel to address the board?
Absolutely.
We definitely, as Mr. Parsons was saying, we will do the same evaluation in regards to code upgrades and looking at all of your roofing systems. And he is right, the majority, the bulk of this claim is going to be in a roofing system. I think that it's very important that the county have an advocate for the county in this process. And I think that ultimately what it comes down to is that as we go and look at, there are several buildings that we have not even had access to yet, but we're going to inspect those buildings entirely all the way around. So our goal would be that we are addressing every issue for the county on these building systems. And it goes further than that in the fact that we have a licensed HVAC contractor on staff at the site superintendent. So as we are disconnecting and raising, reconnecting, any flashings, any curb adapters, anything like that that we have to do on the HVAC, that's going to be a big portion of where you're going to find, a callback scenario. All your leaks, and you guys have been down this road enough. You know how this works. Ultimately, the HVAC contractor and the roofing contractor point at each other when you mention a leak. So what it comes down to is that I think the county is looking for one number to call, one number to be able to say, hey, we got an issue. Well, you can call one number, and we would be happy to work with Parsons from the aspect of we're happy to go out there with them and even allow them to bid the roofing systems. We have nothing against them whatsoever. As you said, they have a good reputation. I do think that we do have an advantage from the aspect of we handle the entire building system, the entire building envelope is what we call it, not just the roofing system itself.
Any other comments?
So do we have a procedure to sort this out yet?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Well, in retrospect, who's been here for us all these years? I'm just, thinking back, we've always relied on, the input and everything from Roger, actually. He's always been the one here. I don't know these other two contractors at all. But it doesn't mean that they're not great. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
But I'm kind of leaning towards Parsons.
And visiting with all of his contacts, he's likely one of the most knowledgeable people on roofs there is.
Who's that?
The Forte, the gentleman we met with last week.
Okay.
That brings a lot of value, but
This is an odd observation.
No.
But did you look at the man's email address?
no.
It just struck me that professional people don't have Bubba at yahoo.com. I mean, you follow what I'm saying? I don't know, I just saw that and it just something stuck with me. I don't
Here
know.
comes the guy that's the president of Redneck Culinary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see his email as Scott Franklin at 4T at Outlook. But
Well, I thought on my paper it said something about whatever his name was, Scott, at outlook.com.
yeah, Scott Franklin 4T at Outlook.com.
Yeah, it's not even a professional website. It's like Yahoo or AOL or, it just struck me as they weren't a firm like what you would find. Like I guarantee you Marcel's has not got a Yahoo email account. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I just saw that and it just
Email address,
and I do. It just struck me that most companies,
When I push send, it seems to go there on any of them.
makes me feel like they're fly-by-night companies. That's what it makes me feel like because they're not as, I don't know why. It's just me. It just felt like that it was not as professional, if that makes any sense.
I didn't gather that from the references I called.
Oh, no, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure.
Just,
It's just an odd observation on my behalf.
no, in fact, I gathered just the opposite. He's
Right.
extremely knowledgeable in the field. I had one of the references I called tell me that if you got like 2 hours to spend, you'll probably learn everything you ever want to know about roofs and more. So that was the only negative I got, and that was kind of my same experience. Once you begin talking roof systems, you're going to learn more than you ever really wanted to know.
So as this is presented on the agenda, we're just picking someone to work as a mediator on our behalf with Texas Association of Counties on insurance claim. We're not picking a contractor to do the work. We're just getting a mediator.
Well, I think the overall intent is for them to handle the entire project moving forward.
You're gonna have to,
To award contract for damage remediation and
Yeah,
to authorize the company to act.
act on our behalf.
okay.
So,
Please don't
no.
hold it against Glenda that her email address is glenda@snakecharmer.com.
I think that snake charming part would have to go to her husband.
Then we'll be taking our own vehicle when we go to the jail and look around.
It,
I'd be tickled death to have either three of these companies.
That's where I'm at.
Any doubt about that.
and I'll just go with Glenda's original recommendation and recommend the Marcel Group. Make that motion.
Is there a second? I'll second. Any other comments? Call for the vote then on motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Judge Gossen to accept Marcel proposal to award them the item as stated in item 2. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed?
All right,
Okay. Motion fails, 2-3.
Make a motion to accept Parsons.
second.
Any other comments? Call for the vote then. All in favor of the selection of Parsons, then motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Hart, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
Toughest deal this court's ever done.
That's tough.
There was really no wrong way. It's,
Yeah, I'd
Gentlemen,
be
thank you
tickled to
all for
hire
your
any of them.
proposals to us. We do appreciate it.
Marcy would like to congratulate Parsons and thank the court for the time that y'all have taken to consider us during this time period. We wish you all the best, and you know our number if you need any work in the future.
thank you. We appreciate your efforts.
Guys, if we ever get back to having conferences, don't make yourself strangers. You already know some of the county families, so we'll look forward to seeing you at those.
We'll be there. Thank you.
All right.
Tough call, guys.
It was a tough call.
Okay. Item 4 is discuss, consider, take action upon accepting proposal of Wichita Glass and Mirror for entrance door, consider the courthouse annex cost of $17,700 to be paid from permanent improvement fund. Commissioner Beecham.
Was provided with some additional information this morning, and I would like to table this for the time being.
Okay.
Really? You want to table it?
Based upon information that I was provided this morning. Y'all were provided with the same information.
How'd we get it?
Email.
Oh. Gotta start checking that thing.
I agree. Is this project part of the remodel deal?
This is in conjunction with that. Yeah, I got that right before I walked in this morning. That's why I walked in a few minutes late.
Mark, tell us the overview there. This scenario had a 2-door.
Yeah, it's what we're using as the main entranceway right now. We continue to have issues with both sets of doors, locking correctly, and just making sure everything is fully secure. You have to push the doors and tug on them and make sure they get locked and they've been adjusted or wore out. So
Do we lock the single door that comes in by the elevator and make everybody go through the main?
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we did?
Yeah, so in keeping with the future plans, we're just getting out ahead and replacing that storefront that needs to be replaced and bringing it up to what we would do in the remodel. So that's what this is for.
Is there any concrete work planned for out front of that?
Eventually, yes.
Not with this.
Not with this. No, this is just
Just doors.
replace the storefront. So there's 3 storefronts in that building. We'd be doing this one, and then when we move over and do the elevator, I was gonna do the same, repeat this process again. because
We'll
they-
still have a door there.
We'll have, it'll be different than what it is now, but yes. That.
But
that
you
all-
could eliminate that door. Well, just,
Well, not
delete-
totally, not
but-
totally.
Because the stairs are there, Lee.
well, but I'm just saying, you could leave that locked and everybody could come through the
And
front
that's the
door.
overall plan is for this door that we're focused on today in the agenda to be our main and only entrance and exit point.
Okay.
That's why I want to get out ahead of it and do it now instead of.
That way
continuing.
everybody goes through security.
That way everybody goes through security.
Yep.
And take care of this instead of continuing maintenance, get it replaced now.
Right.
But in light of,
Moves toward our remodel.
it is in keeping with our future
is-
plans for remodel.
Do we have the space there to kind of formalize our security effort? I mean,
It will change when we finally do get to that final project. The fishbowl goes away in its current form, it gets
Okay.
moved.
but it seems like our workers are just out there, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
when you come in.
Right now, it's a make-do situation. It is fully a make-do situation, so.
The other thing you've got to decide, are we gonna put the manpower there, to make that a formal security interest?
Oh, like what we have here?
I mean, haven't we been doing it, Judge? Haven't we?
We've done that simply for COVID control, we didn't do that for security.
Well-
No scanners though, is there?
Well, a lot of times I don't know the people. So are those deputy sheriffs working?
Yeah.
Just filling in for us over there?
Well, no, that's part of the security reason that if you'll notice security, it's overtime each week and luckily that it's not as much because we're not having a jail vid station.
Hmm.
So when we go to jail visitation, out in the new facility, now you've got to have someone there. You've got people over there from 7:30 to 5:30 at the annex. And then you've got them here from 7:30 to 5:30. If we continue to that, I mean. So there's going to have to be some rearrangement of our additional personnel. And that hasn't been, the sheriff did ask for 2 personnel in his budget request. And
For security?
Sir?
For security?
For security. Right now, it's not a big stretch because they're not doing any courtroom security around it.
But on this side, this is the only bid I have currently. We've reached out to other contractors who have failed to bid.
Now, Mark, those are separated, they're double doors, but they're separated double doors.
Yeah,
They're not like
Well,
ours
there's a
today.
picture of it right here.
Yeah, I saw that, and I just wanted to make sure, because to me, that's the biggest problem. When both the doors come open, you playing linebacker or tackle or guard to block the people
Actually,
from flowing.
making the door, the space between the doors a little bit deeper to meet current ADA standards, so.
Yeah,
then they can-
between the 2 sets of doors, the outside door and then the vestibule on the inside door, it currently does not meet ADA code, so I'm having to make them a little bit
Deeper.
further apart so that it meets ADA code. But then between the 2 leaves themselves, right now they're touching, and we're separating them apart so that if you have people coming in one door and people going out the other door, they're not right up against each other. I've got a vision panel of sorts, of silent, between the 2 sets, the 2 doors in the same plane.
It looks like on frame 1 that the division of the doors is a stone surface.
Solid.
No, it's just solid surface. It's called like MAPES panels or something. It's like a glass, but you can't see through it.
Okay, and then on the inner doors, it's glass, and you can see that. Okay. But you're gonna table it because, okay.
Well, in light of the information that was given to me from the tax assessor's office this morning, I think it's best to table it, even though really,
Forwarding that to me, I'm not on these,
okay.
That's so wrong.
And
Okay. No action will be taken on that item, we'll move on down. Okay, update on law enforcement center project, Commissioner Beecham.
it's gonna be a good week out there. They turned the power on this week. So,
Wow.
Means the AC is on.
Means the AC will come on shortly after. By next week, we'll have the AC up and operational in the office side of the building. Walked the property a couple of times last week. It's a flurry of activity with flooring, floor finishes, ceilings, everything is starting to go in. We're going to meet that September 1st, hand over the keys date and start our processes at that point. Very confident in making that at this point. The building's completely sealed up now. The last panel stood. They're starting to build the catwalks or the mezzanine levels and the cell pods. So everywhere you look, activity, activity, activity.
They're starting finish outs even in the sheriff's office part. I walked it yesterday afternoon actually, and they've got light fixtures hanging now. They've got ceiling grid in. They're starting to put even outlet covers and stuff like that on locations on walls where the walls have been completed.
Millwork starts this week too.
Millwork will start
Cabinetry.
coming in. Mhm.
So all the finish
You
work.
blink and it's like.
Yeah, it's every day. If you miss a day, you've missed a bunch. So the current crew that Yates has provided has done an exceptional job of keeping everything moving timely to meet that September 1 CO.
Anything else?
No, sir.
One thing to go back on, the entrance over there, when we were talking about the amount of security, remember that building is not designated one that does not allow firearms. So it won't have all the same kind of
Right.
stuff, so we do have security there.
Yeah, we'll, like always, we'll have a security presence once the COVID is over, but it won't be, it will be over toward the stairwell instead of where the fishbowl is now. It will make it a direct entrance down that hallway, so it just changes the configuration slightly. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, just as an update, otherwise,
Oh.
we did receive in the proposals for the CMAR last week for the elevator projects, and the next step will be a committee review of those proposals, and then following that step, we'll bring the recommendation to the court for y'all to approve the CMAR that will be used for elevator projects.
Yeah, we had three good contractors. Again, another three contractor dilemma. I've asked Willie to review it, to review the proposals for financials. I've asked Tracy to review it for legal. Brenda and I will review it and bring a recommendation to court.
Anyone in the audience, any comments? Mr. Hampton John Tunnels, funeral, Sonic Ritual in Sacramento, is that right?
John Tunnell, a well-known band director and educator here in Wichita County, passed away last week, and his services today at 5 o'clock at Mascat. John was potentate in 1995, and then became the recorder of Mascat in 1997, and served down at the hospital in Houston on the board of directors for the last 15 years. That involves a meeting once a month, driving down a sweet little 8-hour trip. And just a powerhouse, positive guy, Marine, Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam, all-around good guy. Went to school with Judge Gossam and I. Of course, I was 5 years younger, but other than that,
The person.
hey, third grade, best 5 years of my life.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Beecham?
Yeah, received an email on August the 4th with a subject line SHRM certification with a deadline of Wednesday, knowing that SHRM certification that account has been locked due to alleged tampering with that account. I want to know what's going to happen on Wednesday, since I'm not going to be here. What is it?
You know, we started that in February.
No, what's going to happen on Wednesday?
Well, without you here, I'm not sure either.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand the question, or
Well, there was
Say that question again, Mark, so I
there was
can,
an email on August the 4th that came to me and to Amanda Brumley.
Suggest that's a personnel issue.
Okay.
And let's leave that one, you and I can do, well, we need not with him, we're supposed to say.
Yeah, pretty.
Commissioner Harvey?
Chip's living over in precinct 3 today. Got,
is
think
the
our
box holding?
don't,
Well, the roller didn't hold.
Yeah.
I was on the phone this morning, coming here when he was all down in the dumps over pneumatic roller wouldn't hold up. And that's after Warren had gotten it. They didn't feel good about it, but felt like there were fuel issues and it won't run. And they were coming back.
they can always come get mine. I mean,
I bet they probably already got it.
They
Yeah, what
probably
they have to.
already have, Lee, that probably they were. What is that?
it sounded like a backhoe hitting concrete to me.
It sounded like an explosion, but I don't see anything.
I hear the smoke,
That was loud.
Commissioner Muller?
Just chip sealing this week. Got a lot-
Lori?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just wanted to hold Lori up for a second.
Yes, moving along, and several things in this conversation this morning that really amazed me. One of them is the fact that law enforcement center has moved along as well as it has, considering all the distractions. I mean, there's just been one thing after another that's come along. It's just amazing that all of a sudden it's a reality, you know, and that's just incredible, that size project. So, Mr. Beecham, thanks for your work on that. And everybody involved.
It's been a huge team effort as of late to make Glenda's been on the phone countless hours with suppliers and with our different vendors to make sure that things get delivered on time. Last week we were sweating getting electrical fixtures because they were delayed due to COVID, and
I was just sitting here thinking this morning, it seemed like just a few weeks ago that we were doing groundbreaking out there.
Well, yeah, we just
I
were,
mean, it's been bad news from day one. You know, we're in a trade war and materials are going up and we can't access this. And I mean, it just seemed like, but it just kept moving forward. And it's just incredible to have that online. We need it. We really need it right now to function. So that's great. But yeah, I'm not going to mention the rock box this morning. That's almost become a very expensive joke, but a very expensive joke. But anyway, maybe things will roll better. But no, it's just incredible, and I so hope. And you know, one of the things that we pray pretty hard about is, you know, in another week or two, we're going to be trying to start schools, and we have just got to get things back on a sound footing. And I think that's going to be a huge part of it right there to get going. And I know here at the county, we've been functioning, and that's one of the things I'm so proud of our precinct crew. I tell you, we haven't missed a beat all summer. Those guys have been out there working
Every day.
taking care of business every day, and I think we've got as much work done this summer, Lee, as we ever have.
We done good this
With
summer.
all the distractions and everything going on, so there are people working hard, and in other areas too, to make things move along, but those guys have really stepped up. Done a great job. Let's just continue to move forward. We're in this old dog days of summer. We need a rain. Fire hazard is going to be going up by the day. Now, I've noticed lately, boy, this grass is turning in a hurry, so be careful if you're out there and moving around. It's just be awful tough to go fight a fire this afternoon when it's 100 plus. So that's just my thing. But just, boy, there's so many, with all the doom and gloom and problems we got, there's just so many good things happening in Wichita County. There are good things happening, and we are moving forward. So we just got to hinge on that and continue to plug on. So that's it, Judge. I'll quit preaching.
You're all right. Thank you, Mr. Watts.
well, other than, I think that maybe before, Willie, we close out our effort in Precinct 5, we should look at our hold card there as far as capital expenditures. We're on our last leg here, and I don't know that we want to go through another summer with this rock box situation. And exactly what the thing to do is, and so I just want to make sure that we don't have any immediate concerns, or we didn't have any and felt like we were in pretty decent shape, but I think we need to look at some option.
is there a lease option for rock box?
Potentially, Mark, and we could investigate. Klossner give us some direction to check with different fellows that do those. Where did I see? Oh, I know where it was. John Jones bought a more heavier duty equipment trailer, and it was a Etnire, and that's what our rock box is.
They make all that pavement equipment.
And
ETNYRE,
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
And so it's worth investigating what, because it would be nice to use a piece of equipment like we use it and then turn it back to somebody and get
Yeah,
it.
that's what I mean, we're really 2 months out of the year is what we're running the rock box. We still have Old Faithful if we need
If
to
we
do a
had
short
to,
job.
yeah. I'm more concerned, and Barry, when we first got the Gradall and he was showing me about the electrical on one of those panels in there, just a rat can do you more damage than you can pay for in the summertime. Oh, okay. And I just wanted to get an update from you and Patty on checks, on how that process was coming.
I know Annette is still working through some things, but I think we're maybe a little closer.
You've,
There's still,
for the most part, balanced up, and
I believe there's 1 month that we're not, but she's been working diligently on it. But right now I have my probate clerk out with an illness, and so she's having to double her time.
I see. Well, I wondered, and Patty, how's yours processes coming there?
Ours is being turned over to Justin, and he's gonna balance everything. 'Cause
Cool.
He's supposed to take about, he thinks they predict about 4 days or so, that he'll be able to move through everything, get back with you, and work more closely with you. And we kind of told them last week that next time they switch horses, we're gonna shoot that horse and see where the old one is.
Yeah, we've had Justin, Ryan, Justin, Eric,
Well,
Justin.
like, Patty, do you do, so July of 20,
19, we only have 2 weeks done.
well, no, I'm talking about of this July. Will you balance up to that month when you close the month? Did your stuff that's later on as you get close to now, it's pretty well, I mean, it's stuff that's more frequent in your mind and things y'all have seen, but it'll balance for the most part, right?
I would hope that every month, once they get July done, then August done, and September, I'm hoping September, October, all that will fall into place, and, yeah. And then, you know, once they have us caught up, it's supposed to be done daily, so we'll go back to doing it daily.
You all are, and I'm saying, when we say collecting money and balancing, that we did drop that $2 fee on the credit card, since we're already collecting a service fee, a convenience fee on the credit card. But if I walk in and pay over the counter, that $2 fee should be applied. That's an
Yeah,
option.
that's what you said, so.
Okay, I just want to be sure, you know, because, you know, and quite frankly, they're working on how to work that out to make that happen correctly on the credit card.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, but hopefully keep us posted, but I think they're committed to having either Ryan or Justin stay with that computer to get it solved.
Yeah, we turned over everything to
Okay.
Sam, who scanned it in and sent it off to Justin.
Okay, great, thanks. Anything else?
No, I just wanted to get a feel for what they thought.
All right. I got word from 3 different sources on the Veterans Day Parade for this year has been canceled. And just feel like that needs to be made this soon out. Shepherd is encouraged with that, and so that is not going to happen. Wednesday will speak to Burke Rotary, and then Tuesday afternoon at 4, district judges. District judges are meeting at 4 p.m. to set salaries for the personnel that they do that for, which is their court reporters and the auditor's office. And then Wednesday morning we have a call transportation policy.
Yes, it should be brief, Judge, just for that consultant, isn't it?
Yes, sir. All right, anybody think of anything else we need to?
Judge, this morning I asked Nancy, and we visited briefly about, if we're all in here on our legislative video conference thing, is there any need to do anything particular?
I'm gonna post it. I put a question out on my listserv.
And they thought it might be okay to do.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to post it. We don't post it when we're all at school, but it's still a good idea. You can always go back and we should post it, but.
Okay.
I actually already printed it out.
Well, it sure be handy for all us watching.
Friday after next, you know,
No, it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, August
Oh.
26th to the 28th.
And that Friday, now that, it's half a day on Wednesday, full day on Thursday, and half a day on Friday. And then we're gonna meet after lunch. You moved it, right, to our work session to 1:30.
Yes.
So we'll have a pretty full day Friday as well. Do we,
That's, is that next week?
no, it's,
August 26th to the 28th.
Okay, it's farther away, what you
Yeah.
were saying, I thought, yeah.
yeah. And then, Judge, is there any, the Abilene deal still know what's gonna happen there?
Pretty sure it's not gonna happen, that hasn't been completely decided to come, because that's not until,
October 5th, isn't it?
yeah, I think that's when it is. So, West Texas, we're gonna have resolutions maybe via Zoom, I believe.
Are you talking about the 98th annual?
Yes.
State county judges and
That's-
such.
That's virtual from everything I've been seeing on tap.
Oh, really?
Is it virtual
Already?
now?
So there are classes, I guess we can do, are those classes gonna individualize and let us do the ones that we need to do?
The County Progress magazine still showed it as live.
And how does that work? I mean, you have to do it like we'd go to school and just pick the class you're gonna go to, right? Because,
I don't know how many simulcasts they're gonna have on that, you know, but with Zoom, they can do each one.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
with these Zoom meetings, guys, these 2, 3, and 4 hour deals are pretty tough.
They are tough, Barry, and that's legislative deal's gonna be tough because
It
it's,
is gonna be tough. But it's probably never been this important as this right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Let's record it, come to my house, and watch it together with some food.
You know, I thought I saw
Food?
Food.
on TAP's website, it still says it's in Abilene. It's one of those.
But I'm gonna bet you it might be virtual.
Oh, yeah.
How do you play in the domino tournament virtual? Pat Norris would have a hard time. She could play dominoes.
No real, Judge, I don't know that we're making any great progress toward the time when we're gonna be past this. I mean, we're kinda holding our own from the numbers. It's not getting a lot worse, but it's sure not doing anything that's gonna make everybody wanna go back
Well,
and do it.
what the judge said too, this school interaction's we're gonna probably see some
Yeah.
different momentums take place that we haven't.
You know, I think the field deal is either gonna set us on a path to headed back to a more normal life, or it's gonna back us up. Several
Go to
months.
Plan B.
It could go either way.
Alabama's experience with it wasn't really good.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way.
And what happened in Alabama? Did they start school?
Yeah, I started school, I had 325 cases in 1 week.
It blew up.
And the guy that told me that works at the post office, and it was his daughters and his grandchildren that were in school, they didn't come back.
I hope that don't happen here.
You know, and then we'll see what happens for the older side.
It's gonna get to the point, Judge, we're gonna say who's gonna be first to stick their toe in the water.
Yeah, how's that deal at Sturgis gonna turn out?
Yeah, how is that going to pan out? I mean,
A lot of people, 250,000 people.
I
And they're not social distancing at
I
all.
just don't know why they would want to continue to have
It's
that.
tough to ride a motorcycle with a plexiglass shield between you and the person.
I think they're gonna be ingesting enough sanitizer
If there was theory to that, Barry, bars would still be open.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, the liquor stores are open. Thank goodness.
You know, I can remember y'all knew Gene Belushi, great guy.
Yeah.
And Gene, Kerry Waters telling about taking the guys and going to Sturgis, and they all ride up there, which was wore them out by the time they got there. They have one single room for 6 guys, grown men. They're all in sleeping bags scattered out like sardines in that room. And he tells all about this event, and Gene looks at me and says, "And they did this for a vacation?" It sounded miserable by the time.
Well, I think there's ones that you just gotta go once.
Yeah, they never went back again. I did notice that,
Did
Barry.
Calvin go with them?
Yeah.
I know he did.
Yeah.
I've heard a few stories about that trip, and, I noticed his motorcycle hadn't been out of the garage in a long time.
Gotta help get the snakes out of it.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? We're starting to deteriorate here.
Yes.
All right, it is 11:29, and we are adjourned.
I probably